When it comes to visas to live and work in Japan for software engineers, there are a few different things to kind of be aware of, and that's what I would like to go over today. So, what we will go over today is how moving to Japan works. Just what the process looks like from a high level. What visas are viable for engineers, how these visas relate to permanent residency and that whole thing, some of the pros and cons of these visas and also of permanent residency, and then kind of my recommendation for a software engineer looking to move to Japan in 2026. So the basic process of moving to Japan is you do your job search and then you accept a job offer. They send you a certificate of eligibility, which is basically just a piece of paper saying that we want to hire this person to and bring them to Japan. They will send that to you through physical mail, and then you take that certificate along with your passport, a passport photo, and some other things to the consulate or the embassy. Like they'll tell you how the process works. And then several days later, you get your passport back. Either you go pick it up at the consulate or embassy, or if you provided them a pre-posted or like a pre-stamped envelope and stuff with postage, then you can have them send it back to you. And then you fly to Japan with your visa in your passport, and then upon arriving and landing in Japan, you get your residence card, and then that marks you as a resident of Japan on a work or whatever visa. So then for engineers, there's a few different kinds of visas that are applicable for us, right? So the most common one for sure is the work visa in the engineer category. So there's a bunch of different kinds of work visas. And the engineering category is the usual one for our software engineering work for, I hope, obvious reasons. Something that's kind of interesting, not really relevant, is that the engineering category for some reason overlaps with the specialist in humanities and international activities working visas categories for some reason. So whenever you get your residence card at the airport, it's going to say engineer, specialist in humanities, international activities. Doesn't really have any practical implications as far as I'm aware. But just something to keep in mind. And then there's also the highly skilled professional visa, which is based on it's a points based visa where you get additional where you get points based on your age, your salary, your level of education, and things like that. And then if you get 70 of those points based on the point system, then you qualify for the highly skilled professional visa. And then the point system has implications for PR, but we'll talk about that in a moment. There's also the J-Find visa, which is a recent addition from I think 2023. And that is only for recent graduates of top universities. So I forget the exact list they use, but there's a couple of lists that the Japanese immigration recognizes for this qualification, and this is only for graduates, within the last 5 years. So may or may not apply to you, depends on your specific circumstances, but that's generally how you qualify for that one. And then, of course, there's also special cases there's the spouse visa if you're married to a Japanese person. There's the long-term resident visa, which is for very specific cases. Most people will not be part of that. So yeah, that's kind of a breakdown of the available visas for engineers. And so the working visa engineer, or the engineer working visa, I guess. So some of its pros and cons. Some pros are that it's more flexible to job changes. If you switch jobs, then the only thing you need to do is notify immigration within 2 weeks, and you can do that online, so it's not really a big deal. It still allows applying for permanent residency as long as you have as long as you meet the point, the highly skilled professional point requirements for a duration of 1 year or 3 years. And as long as your work visa is valid for 3 or 5 years. That's changing soon next year to only be 5 years. But that's, for the moment, you can still do it with a 3-year visa. And then it's also just easier to qualify for. You basically just need a job offer and a bachelor's degree, and then you can get a working visa. Some of the cons, the duration ranges from 1 to 5 years. Being on a 1 year visa sucks. I was on a 1 year visas for like 3 years, and it was really annoying. Um, so it was really nice whenever. Yeah, we'll get to that later. And then the HSP visa has some like some really cool like family perks that are potentially very very handy for specific people. Um, but yeah, so that's the working visa. And then the highly skilled professional visa, perk number one, it always lasts 5 years, which means that once you get it, then like you just need to like meet the points, and then you will be applicable for, or you will be qualified to apply for permanent residency. You can bring your parents over to help care for your kids. If your kids are under the age of 7, then you can have your parents come over on a separate visa, but like it's tied to your highly skilled professional visa. And then also spouses of people on the highly skilled professional visa can work full time in Japan. Typically, a spouse of a work visa, or like of someone with a working visa, would be on a dependent visa, which means that they can only like there's like a certain amount of income that they can make, and above that, they're not really considered a dependent, so they should be getting their own work visa. And then also they can only work 28 hours a week, I think. So the HSP visa lets your spouse work full time, which is really nice. Some cons, however, it does have higher requirements than a work visa. Like if you don't have a high salary, or like you don't have a master's degree, or things like that, it is harder to meet the requirements of the highest skilled professional visa. And then also changing jobs requires basically doing the application process again, which is really annoying from what I've heard. I never did the HSP visa, but I know a guy who switched from work visa to HSP, and then like 2 months later switched jobs, and then had to do the whole thing again, and like that doesn't sound fun. So there is that. So then what's the relation to permanent residency? So typically permanent residency requires 10 years of continuous living in Japan to qualify and apply. But for there are other different fast tracks, but for engineers and those on work visas and on highly skilled professional visas, you can apply early on the HSP point system after 1 to 3 years of qualifying. If you have 70 points, then if you maintain 70 points for 3 years, then you would qualify, and can then apply. If you have 80 points, you only need to maintain 80 points for 1 year before you can apply. This is a screenshot from the rebasejapan.com website. We have a highly skilled professional calculator that you can put all your information in, or it's basically like a wizard, right, of like different all of the different qualifications, and then tells you how many points you have, and then like how long it would take. Something else to note: spouse visas also have a fast track. It's different though, and spouse visas are not really something I want to like go into detail in this video. So. Something to keep in mind. Also, both fast tracks require being on a 3 or 5 year duration visa. As I mentioned before, starting from April 2027, that will only be 5-year duration visas. So, yeah, that's something to note. So then, what's the advantage of permanent residency? Number one, no restriction on working or anything. You can just retire. You can start a business. You can do whatever you want, as long as it's legal. Like don't like start doing crimes and stuff. But you don't have to do anything to maintain permanent residency. Besides just be a normal living person in society. It's also much easier to get home loans if you have permanent residency. On a work visa, like banks are very hesitant to give home loans to people on just work visas. So it's much easier to get one on permanent residency. But you should also wait to retire until you have a home loan if you plan on doing both of those. And then also, once you have permanent residency, you only need to go to immigration to renew the physical card once every 7 years. And so, as opposed to like renewing your thing so that you're not an overstayer. So that's really nice. However, there are some, a couple of downsides. So global income will become immediately taxable in Japan. So if you have property abroad or like dividends and stuff that are in foreign accounts or like not Japan accounts, then those become taxable as soon as you get PR. They become taxable anyway after 5 years of living in Japan, but if you get PR before that 5 years, then this happens immediately. I think this is also true for people on spouse visas as well. So, uh, if you get a spouse visa, then I think then your global income is immediately taxable. Um, and then also inheritance, gift, and exit tax will now apply to you as soon as you get permanent residency. Inheritance tax is like the one that most people worry about. If you have if you expect to inherit, like 500,000 USD plus, this will be very applicable to you, unfortunately. And that's one of the big things that people are very concerned about. Also, there is no highly skilled professional perk to like bring your family to care for your kids. So your spouse. Sorry, this is a little bit poorly worded. Your spouse can be with you on a. I think they can work full time. Yeah, I think they can work full time. But you can't bring like your parents to help care for your kids and stuff. Um, so then that's a duplicate slide. So some other things to know about permanent residency. As I mentioned, starting April 2027, work visa holders will need a 5-year duration visa to apply for PR, even through the point system. Right now, 3 years is also considered acceptable. But starting April 2027, it will have to be 5 years. Also for PR, you have to have your taxes and your pension and your health insurance payments current and not late at all. If there's any lateness in the like application period, then it's not going to work out, unfortunately. So you do have to be very on top of that. They are also there's been some murmurs of in the political sphere of adding Japanese language requirements to apply for permanent residency. Right now there is no requirement, so for now that's not a thing, but this may be a thing in the future. Also, application processing times are incredibly long in Tokyo these days. They are approaching 2 years, which is insane. Whenever I applied in 2022. It took me 4 months. So this is getting crazy. And there are some some resources out there to kind of like see what that looks like. This is the intake of all. This is all immigration applications. I'm not sure where they get theirs. I think this is like data directly from the immigration website. But yeah. Anyway, so what would I recommend? I think if your goal is permanent residency so that you can retire or start a business or buy a house or whatever, you should probably aim for the highly skilled professional visa so that you can get a 5-year visa right off the bat. Again, being on a work visa that is like, you keep getting 1-year renewals, really annoying. Because yeah, it's just really annoying. And it means that you can't apply for permanent residency. And soon even a 3-year work visa will not be enough to apply for PR. So yeah, if your goal is permanent residency, I would aim for the HSP. If your goal doesn't include permanent residency and you just want to like try living in Japan, or you have like a hard limit of time, like you're like only going to be in Japan for like 3 years or something, then the work visa is more flexible and you can always change to the HSP if needed. If you decide that you want to do PR in the future. So that would be my recommendation. Also, I guess if you can get a job offer that lets you apply for HSP, then that would be also kind of a requirement here. But yeah. So that's my general recommendation. This is kind of pretty much the breakdown of what kind of visas engineers who are trying to move to Japan should look for. Here's a couple of links. I will have these in the description as well. But yeah, if you're interested in trying to move to Japan, I would love to hear from you and love to talk to you. You can email me at steven@rebasejapan.com, Or you can also you can book a time with me on rebasejapan.com. And we can, I hope to talk to some of you. Yeah. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.